Your student is college bound this fall. You're buying stuff for the dorm room, you're signing forms, you're doing all the usual stuff. But what might you have forgotten? We are four professionals who work with college students in a varying capacity, and we love to collaborate. We wanted to put our heads together today to suggest three things you might not have had in mind that you might want to address now. We are recording this in June. You may be seeing this at any time during the year, but if you're catching this before your student is ready to go to school in the fall, now is the time to pay attention. So I'm Elizabeth Hamblett. I have gathered here today my three friends from social media and also professionals whose work I really value and respect. And I asked them to join me on this call because I think that we see college students in different ways than often parents get to see their students. We're on the other side of this transition to college. And we want to kind of give you a heads up of some things that perhaps aren't on the lists that you're finding online. And so I've invited everybody here to join me, and I'm going to ask my friend Christopher Bailey to get us started.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having us. So I'm Chrysler Bailey. I am currently a part-time professor. I teach at TCU. I'm also a functional medicine certified health coach and an executive function coach, and mostly work with students that are between 16 and 22. So here are my tips for preparing for the semester and getting started off on the right foot. The first thing is you've heard about the syllabus, but it definitely carries more weight in college than it does in high school. Your syllabus isn't just a course outline, it's really a rule book and a guidebook for you to be successful throughout the semester. So it's going to give you deadlines, it's going to give you grading policies, it's going to give you the professor's information and all kinds of information that you need to be successful. So when you get your syllabus the first week, don't just toss it in your bag or toss it in the trash, but read through it. And let me give you a little bonus tip. Some professors will add what are called Easter eggs in the syllabus. Those are things for students to find and earn something as a bonus. So you're going to want to read your whole syllabus from beginning to end. The second tip is that the first 2 weeks of the semester are the times that really matter. Most students go into the semester thinking I can kind of just ease into it. However, I highly suggest that you jump in with both feet. Go to all the classes, start attending some of those club and organizational meetings, get to know people, show up 100% in those first 2 weeks. You are setting the tone for the whole semester. My third tip is resources, resources, resources. Your college campus is your village. And so you need to check out the resources on your campus and make sure that you know exactly how to tap into them so that when you need a tutor, you're not trying to find how to get to a tutor. You already know where the building is, how to set up that tutoring session, or when you need to work with your professor or you have a question, you're not trying to find your professor in the middle of the semester. You already know where their office is and how you need to set up an appointment to talk with them during office hours.
Jill, why don't you take the lead next?
Hi, thanks also for inviting me to this collaboration. I love it. So, I am Dr. Jill Grimes. I am a family physician and I specialize in college health. So, I did private practice for about 20 years and then I transitioned to college health where I saw students on campus and I know firsthand what they're experiencing when they come into the doctor. I'm also the mother of two college graduates, so I've seen it from the parent angle also. So, my three tips, here we go. The first is about seeing the doctor on your own. And what you can do right now before you head to college is this. The first is to get out your phone, or have your student rather get out their phone and take a picture of your health insurance card if you have health insurance, front and back. It needs to be on their phone so that it is easy access, because we all know the first thing anyone is going to ask, whether it's an urgent care or a campus clinic, they need to see your health insurance card if you have that. The second is kind of similar. They need access to not only their health information, but the family history. So you want to start like a Google document, something that they can access from anywhere, and put in there any medications they take, the full name, including the dose. And by the way, please have the student fill this out. You can sit next to them and remind them, but they have to start getting used to this. So they need to know what medicines they're on, if they have any allergies, if they've had any surgeries. They may not know that they had their tonsils out or that they had ear tubes when they were infants. So you need to have that all in one place for them to access. And the last thing on the seeing the doctor by yourself tip is they need to ask this really important question. When they're done seeing the doctor, before the doctor leaves the room, they need to ask, what's next? Meaning, when should I expect to get better? What if I don't get better? How do I get back in touch with you? What is the next step? If they're having x-rays done or blood work done, what's next? How will they get those results? Most of this is going to be through a patient portal, but it's important that they understand that there has to be follow-up, because the biggest source of dissatisfaction with college students and parents seeing doctors is that they say, well, what they gave me didn't work. And college students don't have the experience to know they need to go back. They need to let the clinician know that it didn't work, and they need to follow up. It's really important. So that's all that is tip number one. The second is, a lot of you will have students who are taking ADHD medications. So here are my thoughts about that. Number one, right now, this summer, if you haven't already done so, please have them in charge of their own medications. That means that you're not chasing them out the door saying, did you take your medicine? Did you take your medicine? Because you're not going to be texting them. Please don't be texting them every single morning for the 4 years of college asking if they took their medication. Um, it's such an easy habit for parents to get into, that they're the ones giving them the medicine and doing the refills and all of that. They need to learn that now. If they're in high school, this is the time. Once they can drive themselves, they should be getting their own refills, and they should know when to ask for a refill. ADHD medications in particular, they are a controlled substance. There's delays, pipeline delays, and you can't just be on your last pill and think you're going to call the doctor, especially on a weekend, and somehow it's going to miraculously make it to the pharmacy, and the pharmacy's going to have it, and you're going to get it the next day. College students run out of medications all the time, and inevitably it's during midterms or finals. So work on that this summer. Also, I recommend having a locked box. And yes, somebody can pick this up and walk away with it, but it's a deterrent from people borrowing their ADHD medications, which are affectionately known as study drugs. Whole nother topic. The last tip is about insomnia. A tired brain makes everything worse. You can't learn new information. You can't process things. You can't problem solve on tests, and your emotions are just crazy. And especially freshman year, it's a roller coaster. It just is. So we want to emphasize sleep. I think good sleep is the most underutilized tool for college success. So while you're shopping for all those dorm supplies, my advice is, if you're going to slant the money in one direction, do it towards everything that promotes good sleep. That doesn't mean the most expensive sheets or the most expensive sound machine, but the best sleep is in a cool, dark, quiet space. A dorm is usually none of those things. So you want a small portable fan to make it dark. Instead of, you can't do blackout blinds typically unless your roommate wants those too, but you can black out things by having a sleep mask that goes right over your eyes, or one that even goes further. It's a migraine one that goes over your whole head. But you want to black out that way. So cool, dark, quiet. This is actually, it looks like a headband, but it has headphones in there that are wireless, but it's still comfortable that you can sleep on. It's not, you don't want to sleep with the buds in your ears. That ends up getting wax buildup and creates another problem. So prioritize good sleep in every way that you can.
Thank you. And Bianca, please.
Sure. Such good advice, I have to say, from Dr. Grimes on especially the ADHD medications. I second all of those things for sure. I am Dr. Bianca Bush, dual board certified in adult psychiatry and child and adolescent psychiatry, known as a college psychiatrist. I love serving families altogether, the college student, but I also love helping out parents. And so this advice is going to be for all of you. Number one, set a communication plan. This is something that can be really nerve-wracking for parents. Your child is off away at college, could be a great distance, could be just the next town over. When are you going to talk to each other? How often are you going to talk to each other? I think that there are some students who will call frequently, and then some you're like, hello, are you alive? And so coming up with a plan before your student leaves is really important. Maybe you decide that you're going to check in once a week, Friday mornings, Friday afternoons, something like that. Even if your student isn't someone who's going to call and chat for a long time, I definitely was that student. I would call my mom once a week and chat for a long time. That's not everyone, and that's okay. Maybe you decide that you're going to just have a quick text check-in once a week. Hey, I'm alive. I'm doing okay. We'll talk with you later. So it's important to establish that early on so that parents don't worry. And also, there's a way for you to communicate with your parent if you have a need, if something is going on, things come up, whether it's basic stuff, everyday things that you might need, clothes or extra food, or there's something that's bigger that's coming on. You have an established touch point each week to communicate those things. Number two, knowing when your feelings, things are going beyond homesickness. It is normal for students to feel a little bit homesick when they leave. They're missing their parents, maybe they're missing their siblings or their friends. And it's kind of like, but how do we know when that's going beyond a homesickness and we're really falling into areas that need some help? Things that you might look out for are significant changes in sleep. Your student is sleeping a lot more than usual, a lot less than usual. Maybe they're having a hard time getting to class. It could be hard for you to identify that as a parent. Maybe they're not checking in with you weekly as you had expected. You're not going to always be able to see their grades. That's a whole nother issue and topic of conversation that all of us could talk about. But really, when we start to see either those grades suffer or maybe someone's reaching out to you from Zorm, so those are going to be some signs that they maybe need a little bit more help, and it's not just homesickness. And so how do you get that help? This is my tip number three. This is a great time to start to learn what resources are available on the campus for help. And that is academic help, that is mental health help, that is medical help. So you can start searching the internet now. You can start looking at the campus website now to see where do you go if you're sick, where do you go if you are feeling sad or need extra help, where do you go if you're not sure how to get that paper started. So those three resources you can start to look up now. And then during orientation week, parent drop off, I want you, when you get to that campus, to walk to those locations. Make sure you know where they are. It's a great starting place, okay? So where to get help. And then in addition to knowing where the campus resources are, if you are currently seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist, someone to help with your mental health, ask if they can see you when you leave for school. Chances are you've already thought of this, but if you haven't, now's a great time to check. It's great if you have a therapist or a psychologist who is SIPAC licensed. That means that they can see you in a variety of states across the country. So really just check in, see if they can see you there. If not, ask for recommendations that they might have. And then if they don't have recommendations, you can check on psychologytoday.com or zencare.co. Those are my two go-to sites because you can search by location and insurance type and the type of therapy or treatment or medication management that folks need. And so the stimulant issue, as Dr. Grimes raised earlier, is very important because not everyone can prescribe across state lines. There are some workarounds for that, but in general, you're going to need to find someone who can prescribe your stimulant medication who's licensed in the state where you are going to school. So I'm very excited for this transition for both you, the student, and the parents, because it's a transition for everyone. And those are the three things that I think you should keep in mind.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, so much good advice already. It's kind of a hard act to follow, all three of you. I'm Elizabeth Hamblett. I am a longtime college learning disabilities specialist. I've been working in college disability services offices for more than 20 years. And so part of the reason I wanted to bring us all together too was that I am aware of so many myths about what happens with college accommodations once students get to college. So here are the three things I think parents of students with disabilities should be thinking of right now. First of all, your student has to register with their college, with their disability services office, or it might just be a single person like a dean, if they want accommodations. Now, be aware we can't make students register. It is their choice whether they want to identify themselves to us or not. And if they don't go through our registration process, they are unlikely to receive accommodations. Generally, parents can't do this. The thing about guardianship or power of attorney varies from state to state, as I understand. But I would be surprised if that was a very common thing that happens. And also, your students are responsible for what happens if, like many students every year, they decide to delay registering with us. Now, I want to be clear that they can wait as long as they want, including right before their last set of exams, senior year. That is an option they have, but they take responsibility for what happens. You'll hear the phrase commonly that accommodations aren't retroactive, meaning they begin once the student has registered and been approved, which means if they're not happy with their midterm grades and register afterward, professors are not required to adjust their grades or give them a do-over. So that's the first thing. And having said that, I want to be really clear that accommodations are not everything. They are a key to success, but even the research shows they are not the only key to success. And so we've just had a great conversation, all of my friends here, about using resources. Oh my goodness, getting enough sleep, seeking help when you need it, making sure that you are actually doing okay, seeing a counselor if things are, a real struggle. And so don't assume that your student asking for and receiving a lot of accommodations is going to be all that they need. They have to go to class. They have to do the work, and that seems obvious to us as adults, but I think sometimes the amount of investment or hope that families put into the accommodations doesn't necessarily match the effect that those accommodations are going to have. If a student has not attended class and hasn't done the work, the extra time on a test, probably understandably, is unlikely to be helpful. So all of these folks have talked about looking at the campus the school website, excuse me, and seeing is there tutoring help? Is there counseling help? Is there a writing center? And just making sure your student knows that these things are there. And I'd like to send the message too that colleges provide these supports because we expect students to need them. This is not expected to be an easy carryover from high school. And also because I'm speaking to the families of students with disabilities, I want to normalize that help seeking. These resources are not just for students with disabilities. A lot of students are going to make adjustments when they get to college. It is going to be challenging, and they'll be right there in there with their non-disabled peers. So the third thing I'd like to emphasize too, and Bianca had spoken to this, that communication is something you guys need to talk about. Even if your student signs a FERPA release, Family Educational Rights Privacy Act release, first of all, with our Disability Services Office, there may be limits to the information that we can share. And in a lot of places, your student gets to dictate what information we can share. You should be aware, too, that sometimes Disability Services Offices don't have access to your students' grades. And it's not our job to know whether they've been to class, to communicate with their professors and see how they're doing. So this is a big change, I think, from the amount of interaction that families, parents particularly, are used to having with a high school case manager. And so you need to get accustomed to the idea that that information is not going to be forthcoming for us. And even if if your student signs a release with us, it doesn't create an obligation for us to then go seek that information. So, to Bianca's point, you should have a communication schedule. You should be careful about asking for your students' logins for their email and their web ID, because at some colleges that's a violation of the technology code. And certainly these ladies can speak to the message that sends to your student and what we're trying to accomplish here, but I realize perspectives on that may vary. So I hope that you found this helpful. I will start us off by saying, if you want to learn more about all of this, first of all, we're all on social media. You can find us. We're out there sharing information, trying to help your families. To learn a lot more about this, let's see how well I do with this. This is my book, Seven Steps to College Success, A Pathway for Students with Disabilities. It is available in a variety of formats from a variety of online sellers. The audiobook is coming out September 3rd of 2026, so I'm very excited about that. You can pre-order. I have 2 on-demand webinars on my website, and I give presentations for school districts and organizations if you'd like for me to talk to the families in your schools about all of this stuff. Chrysler, why don't you talk to us about the resources you have available?
Thank you. Yeah, so I am also on social media. You can find me at Professor Chrysler. You can also go to my website and get all the information about me. I provide a list of resources, including the 3 books that you're going to hear about from these ladies. Their books are amazing, and I've read all of them, looked through all of them, and they're part of my resource list. So if you just go to the resources tab, you will see a list of resources there. But my website is coachingwithchrysler.com. And I have a course that is for new college students. It's called Ace Your First Year. And I basically walk you through how you can be successful in college, from preparing before you even get on campus to talking with professors, building relationships, how to maintain your physical, mental, and social health. I talk about self-advocacy. I dive into what I talked about at the beginning here with the syllabus, what that means, and how to utilize it to your advantage. And so it's a great course for those that maybe are feeling a little bit uncomfortable about starting college, but you don't necessarily feel like you need one-to-one coaching. That I do offer. And then I also offer group coaching for parents as well.
Jill, go ahead.
All right. And I'm Dr. Jill Grimes. And on Instagram, you can find me at Jill Grimes MD. And on TikTok, I am the TikTok.college doc. I am the author of The Ultimate College Student Health Handbook, your guide for everything from hangovers to homesickness, which includes things that I talked about, like seeing the doctor on your own. And I'm excited that for the second year, it made Oprah's list of the best gifts for grads. And you can find me to speak. I love speaking to college students and high school students and parents through my website, which is just jillgrimesmd.com. I want to leave you with one parting thing that I meant to say earlier, and that is, don't wait until you're in crisis to seek help. I think everybody would agree that doesn't matter whether it's academic or disability services or a sore throat or insomnia or test anxiety or depression anxiety, any of it. Don't wait until you're in crisis to seek help. We're here to help you. That we're all part of that team.
And Bianca.
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The College Psychiatrist, and website is collegepsychiatrist.com. You can see me clinically. I'm licensed in 13 states. You can see them all on the website. So I'd be happy to take care of you while you're at school and even when you come back home. And that's to help with medications for depression, anxiety, ADHD, all of those things, or psychotherapy. I also provide therapy for the patients that I see, and sometimes I do both. In addition to my clinical services, I work with a lot of students around test anxiety and have written a book, which you can see back here. Test Anxiety No More is available on Bookshop, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It is available print, digital, and also audiobook. So check it out. It's short, easy to read, and is really evidence-based tips to help you manage test anxiety. So check it out. And then if you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, I also have a self-guided course on test anxiety. You can find all of that at testanxietynomore.com. Either way, I'd be happy to help you with your mental health or test anxiety. They're all important for college students.
Thank you. And so I have asked these women, these professionals, to be here with me today because I find their information really helpful. If you're following me on socials, you will see me posting their stuff over and over again to make sure you get it. So thanks, ladies. I really appreciate it. We hope you found this helpful, and we hope you'll come and find us and our resources. Good luck to your student in the fall, and good luck to your family.